The purpose of the presentation is to review important information found in the 23-24 Baltimore County Schools Student Handbook. This same presentation is being made to secondary students across the school system. Regardless of where a student attends school in Baltimore County, the high expectations for behavior, as outlined in the Student Handbook, remain the same. Establishing clear expectations for behavior early in the year helps in avoid misunderstandings where Baltimore County Public Schools Code of Conduct is concerned. With the start of the school year, Baltimore County Public Schools is proactively providing as much information as possible regarding behavior, so that school is a success for everyone. Having a full understanding of the behaviors that contribute to a positive climate is why this presentation is important. What is the purpose of today? For you to understand what's expected, what are the consequences, who's responsible, and who's available. The 23-24 Student Handbook is organized to reflect the Office of School Climate and Culture's framework for creating a positive learning environment. The framework outlines prevention, logical consequences, and restoration as key components for creating a positive learning environment. Accordingly, the majority of the information contained within the Student Handbook is organized under one of those broad headings, as evidenced by the handbook's table of contents. Under each one of the headings, prevention, logical consequences, and restoration, there is relevant information. Given what students have experienced over the recent years, the Student Handbook has been enhanced to make it a positive resource for students and families in the area of social emotional supports. The BCPS discipline process referenced in the Student Handbook is guided by federal law, state law, and our Board of Education's policies and the superintendent's rules. The policies that govern the discipline process are those related to the Code of Conduct, student behavior, and suspensions and expulsions. Our school administrators are knowledgeable of these policies and make every effort to abide by them. As students, you should familiarize yourself with the Code of Conduct and abide by it.
The Student Handbook and work of the Office of School Culture and Climate, in general, most closely aligns with Focus Area 2 of the Compass, our Pathway to Excellence. The information contained in the Student Handbook is geared toward empowering all stakeholder groups with information that will proactively lead to safe and supportive school environments. While the Office of School Climate and Culture is deeply grounded in Focus Area 2, we work collaboratively with stakeholders across the system to ensure that all students graduate career-ready, military-ready, and/or college-ready. As an office, we play a key role in delivering proactive and responsive supports from preschool through high school. In all our work, we rely on the Compass to guide our way. The Code of Student Conduct, outlined in the Student Handbook, applies to all students attending a Baltimore County public school or program. The Code of Conduct also applies to situations that occur off school property. Students should be aware that the Code of Conduct applies while on field trips, at sporting events, and other extracurricular events, and on school buses. Regardless of where an incident takes place, school administrators have the scope of authority to intervene if they have reason to believe that an incident has impacted or will impact the school community in a negative manner. It is critically important that students and parents understand the scope of school administrators' authority. When a student commits a crime off school property in the community, the student can be charged by the Baltimore County Police Department. The police department will notify the school system that the student has committed a criminal report offense, or CRO. Even though the crime is committed off school property, the student could be subjected to consequences from the school system. The school system's consequences are completely separate from the criminal process employed by the police department. As a student enrolled in the Baltimore County Public Schools system, a student has certain rights. Some of those rights are listed here. Take a look at the rights and ask questions about ones that may be unfamiliar. Students enrolled in the BCPS system also have certain responsibilities. Some of those responsibilities are listed here. Again, review the list and feel free to ask questions about any responsibilities shown. Some of the responsibilities have been highlighted in the BCPS Code of Student Conduct. The BCPS Code of Student Conduct, which is found in Policy 5500, states that students should come to school consistently, be active learners by getting involved with their education, bring to school only those things needed for school, be positive and respectful, take responsibility. When students violate the Code of Student Conduct, Policy 5550 outlines how students' behavior will be addressed. Students must adhere to the following responsibilities prior to using or connecting to BCPS technologies and the internet at school. Students will not create or communicate abusive, harassing, bullying, offensive, or illegal messages. Students are responsible for logging off after using school computers so others cannot access your password. Students will not attempt to bypass security settings or internet filters or interfere with the network by installing or downloading unauthorized software and games.
Policy 5550 was developed with student success in mind. Policy 5550 outlines the school system's discipline process. Within the policy are offenses most often committed by students. The offenses are sorted by category and severity. Category 1 offenses are less serious offenses. These offenses may result in a suspension, but could be handled without a student's removal from school. Category 2 offenses are more serious. These offenses tend to result in a suspension from school when the principal is able to show the disruptive nature of a student's behavior or how the student's behavior poses a threat. Category 3 offenses are most likely to result in suspension from school, with a recommendation for an extended suspension or an expulsion. These offenses could involve the Baltimore County Police Department charging a student. Students should review the offenses on pages 16 through 18 carefully with a parent or guardian. Questions about the meaning of a particular offense should be clarified early in the school year so that students know what is expected of them. In this year's version of the Student Handbook, pages 23 through 26, the category offenses are presented in a matrix that suggests who may be responsible for adjusting the offense. The offenses listed to the far left are those offenses that teachers will most likely handle. The offense to the far right are those offenses that the administrators and a student conduct hearing officer will most likely handle. Look at the matrix shown. Offenses such as academic dishonesty, category 1R, and the use of electronic devices for non-educational purposes, category 1U, are best handled by teachers. These are minor behaviors that teachers are equipped to address. Robbery, category 3V, on the other hand, is located on the far right, indicating that an administrator is best positioned to handle that offense. Committing any of the offenses may result in disciplinary removal or suspension from school. Committing any of the offenses will most likely result in some form of disciplinary action. That disciplinary action does not always mean a suspension. Pages 27 through 29 identify other disciplinary responses available to teachers, school administrators, and hearing officers. The responses shown are suggestions and are not meant to dictate how teachers, administrators, and hearing officers are required to handle the situation. Teachers, administrators, and hearing officers are free to use their discretion in deciding how to best address student behaviors. For more serious violations, a disciplinary removal or suspension may be in order. Students and their parents or guardians should have a clear understanding of disciplinary removals. This chart, which is located on page 21 of the Student Handbook, outlines the various suspensions. According to board policy, a principal can suspend a student for up to 10 days. Any suspension that is 10 days or fewer is a local suspension. If a principal feels that a student's behavior has been extremely disruptive, or that behavior exhibited by the student poses an imminent threat to other students or the staff, the principal can request that the student receive an extended suspension or an expulsion. Only the student conduct hearing officer can authorize a suspension of more than 10 days. With all suspensions, parents and guardians can appeal the principal's decision to suspend. For local suspensions, the Executive Director of School Support can hear the appeal. And for board suspensions, the Board of Education would hear the appeal. More on the discipline process can be found on pages 18 through 22 of the Student Handbook. Students and parents and guardians are strongly encouraged to become familiar with the system's disciplinary process. The Office of Transportation has developed and published a code of conduct that bus drivers, school administrators will be using to address misbehavior on the school bus. The code classifies unacceptable behavior into 4 levels and provides potential consequences at each level. Students should know that riding the school bus is a privilege. This privilege may be temporarily denied or permanently revoked if misconduct jeopardizes the safe operation of the school bus or the safety of the students riding the bus. School suspension is also possible for misconduct on the bus. School buses are equipped with cameras that also capture audio. These cameras monitor the passenger area of the bus. As such, students are subject to video and audio recording. The objective is to provide an important tool to assist the driver and administration in managing student conduct on school buses. The Office of Transportation's Code of Conduct is referenced on page 9 of the Student Handbook. Please remember that the rules apply on the BCPS transportation. Be on the correct bus. You may only ride the bus that you are registered to ride. Be on time for pickup. Follow the bus rules. The school bus is an extension of the school. The same rules apply.
For the 2023-2024 school year, the Department of Social Emotional Learning has continued its social emotional learning focus to include all 5 of the competencies associated with CASEL: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, responsible decision-making. Students can learn more about the social emotional learning competencies by reading page 11 of the Student Handbook. This page defines each of the competencies. Page 12 tells what the competencies look like in practice. A strategy for preventing code of conduct violations on the bus or in the school is knowing how to make responsible decisions. Making responsible decisions is a part of social emotional learning. Students should review this page very closely. This page informs students of what they can do to promote their own social emotional learning and growth. This page lets students know what they can do when they are feeling a certain way, how they can set goals for themselves, how they should relate to others, how they create positive relationships, and how to make responsible decisions. This page provides a list of phone numbers for those offices that students and parents are most likely to reach out to for support. In previous versions of the Student Handbook, no directory information was included. This page becomes a starting point for students and parents looking for assistance and guidance from the school system and from outside agencies. The hotlines listed are available at all times. Students who are experiencing a crisis should not hesitate to reach out for support. The hotlines are staffed with trained counselors. The National Suicide Hotline number was changed to 988. That number is dialed in the same way that 911 is dialed. This page is an opportunity for students to identify people who can support them when needed. The value of this page is that it allows students to identify specific people that they trust to act in their best interest. Here, students should identify some of their closest friends, teachers, and whoever else they rely on in a crisis. The information that we want students to provide here cannot be found in our student information system. Note that the page has been perforated so that the page can easily be torn out. Students should complete this page and turn it in to their homeroom teachers for future reference. This page, along with the 2 previous pages, are meant to be resources for students seeking support with their social emotional well-being.
Hi, I'm Mr. Haas, another assistant principal here at Dundalk High School. And here at Dundalk, we are one OWL. 1, for being responsible for ourselves. O, for our outstanding dedication to education. W, for our willingness to succeed. And L, for our leadership by example. Remember, you are an OWL. You are one OWL. At Dundalk High, we all want to help you. There are many people here to help. School counselors, teachers, SROs, and administrators, nurses, social worker, school climate squad, SEL teachers. The handbook has been updated to reflect changes in rules and policies. Rule 5480, pregnant and parenting students, is new, as are Rule/Policy 5562, student registered sex offender learning options. These policies and rules were created in response to the needs of the students we are tasked with serving. Rule 5561, criminally reported offenses, and Policy 5580, bullying, cyberbullying, harassment, or intimidation were revised. The handbook has been updated to reflect those changes. Additionally, the BCPS handbook has been updated to showcase that students must remain on a closed campus at all times. This means that once you have reported to school, it is your responsibility to remain in the building at all times. Students that are in the building and leave will be held to high standards by both Baltimore County and DHS administration. Information related to the VLP and e-learning options are helpful in communication with students and families who have continued an online option for this year. Like students who are participating in an in-person learning, students in these online options have high expectations for behaviors. Those expectations are spelled out in the same student handbook. Students in these online learning options are held to the same standards that are outlined in the BCPS Code of Student Conduct. Please remember that although we are not virtual right now, We need to be prepared in case we are in a virtual situation at any point in the future.
This year at Dundalk, we have a 15-15-minute rule. No one is out of class the first 15 and the last 15 minutes of each class, unless specified with a note. Yellow passes you receive when arriving late to school. Pink passes are for the nurse, and green passes are for the bathroom and other building locations not yet specified. This is a friendly reminder that video surveillance is throughout the building. Please make good choices. We see you. Please remember at Dundalk High School, we dress for success. The following will not be tolerated. Students will not wear attire that is disruptive to the school environment or which promotes illegal or harmful activities, which includes, but not limited to, depicting messages that are vulgar, obscene, violent, sexually explicit, promotes use of tobacco, drugs, or alcohol, depicts gang affiliation, causes a disruption to the school, contains rude or disrespectful or discourteous expressions. This presentation is simply a high-level overview of the BCPS Student Handbook. During this presentation, general information was shared with students on students' rights and responsibilities, the BCPS Code of Student Conduct, the BCPS Student Behavior Code, the authority of student administrators to intervene, the BCPS discipline process. Reading the student handbook from cover to cover is strongly encouraged. Students and parents/guardians who have specific questions about the information contained in this presentation or the student handbook should reach out to a teacher, counselor, assistant principal, or the principal. The presentation for the handbook has concluded. At this time, all students should acknowledge that they received and understand the information mentioned in the presentation. Students can provide their acknowledgement by completing and signing the paper form at the end of the handbook. They can log into Focus and click on the electronic form. After signing the form, students should have a discussion with their parent and or guardian about the information contained in it. Once the discussion is over, the parent or guardian should sign and date the acknowledgement page. Students must return the acknowledgement page with their signature to their to-be teacher right now.